Hello everybody, this is Refreshed and I'm here to bring you a battle between the Fate Reforged Clash Pack and the Defeat a God Challenge deck from Journey into Nyx. We'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty with 3 Rollicking Throngs and then on hard mode. And over here we have Power and Profit. We will be using 3 hero cards for this endeavor. We have the Harvester, which says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. The Explorer, which says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. And the Vanquisher, which says your starting hand size is increased by 1, your maximum hand size is increased by 1. We'll go ahead and draw our opening hands. Power draws a Necromancer's Assistant, Naturalize, Neutralizing Blast, Murderous Cut, Dismal Backwater Swamp, Force, and a Null. This is a hand that we can keep. Profit draws a Commune of the Gods, Swamp, Nyxweaver, Grave Arbor Spider, Swamp, Loathsome Catapultist, Nyxweaver, and Swamp. We can't keep a hand that has only one color of lands in it, so we are going to mulligan this. Because of the multiplayer, we get 1 free mulligan. Our second hand gets us a Nemesis of Mortals, Oakheart Dryads, Font of Fertility, Grave Arbor Spider, Nyx Infusion, Swamp, Whip of Erebos, and Vine Weft. This is actually a worse hand, so we're going to mulligan this and go down to 6. And we have a Plummet, Forest, Brain Maggot, Forest, Grave Arbor Spider, and Swamp. This is not a good hand, but it's still one that we're going to keep. We're going to take the Plummet and stick it on the bottom. Because this is multiplayer, we'll get to draw for our opening turn. And so Power will draw a Sultai Banner, and Profit will draw a Commune of the Gods. Power will play the Dismal Backwater. This is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. You can tap for blue or black. We'll gain a life to go up to 21. We'll also play a Forest over here. Profit will play a Forest and a Swamp. We'll immediately tap both and cast Commune with the Gods. This is a sorcery. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a creature or enchantment card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. We reveal a Grim Guardian, Defend the Hearth, Forest, and Nyxweaver. We will take the Nyxweaver and put it into our hand. Put the rest into the graveyard. And then we will go to Xenagos' turn. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards. The first one is an Impulsive Charge. At the beginning of combat this turn, all Revelers gain haste until end of turn and attack this combat if able. Then we have an Ecstatic Piper. It's a 2/2 Satyr Reveler. When it enters the battlefield, Xenagos Descendant attacks this turn if able. And when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life. And so everything is attacking. We have no ability to block, so we'll be taking 11 damage to go down to 10. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Power draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Neutralizing Blast. Profit will draw a Commune of the Gods, and we will discard the Brain Maggot. We'll untap. Power draws a Despise, and Profit will draw a Brain Maggot. Profit will play 2 Forests, and Power will play 2 Swamps. We'll spend 3 mana over here to play the Necromancer's Assistant. It's a 3/1 zombie. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. We will mill a Opulent Palace, Satyr Wayfinder, and Opulent Palace. Over here we'll spend 4 mana. And we will cast the Grave Robber Spider. This is a 2/4 spider with reach. And it gets +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Activate this ability only once each turn. Cannot attack this turn, and so we will pass to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap. Cast the top 2 cards. We have an Ecstatic Piper and a Serpent Dancers. This is a 2/4 human Reveler with Death Touch. When it leaves the battlefield, each player draws a card. We're going to be attacking with just Xenagos here. I think we actually need to take this hit and go down to 4. At the end of the turn, we will tap the Dismal Backwater and cast Murderous Cut. This is an instant. It has Delve and Destroy target creature. We're going to exile these 4 here to target the Serpent Dancers. Serpent Dancers dies and we'll each draw a card. Power draws a Monastery Siege, and Profit will draw a Swamp. We'll also use the Harvester. Power draws a Satyr Wayfinder, and we will discard the Despise. Profit will draw a Night Howler, and we will discard the Brain Maggot. We'll untap. Power draws a Necromancer's Assistant, and Profit will draw a Reaper of the Wilds. We'll play the Forest and the Swamp over here. And then over here we will play for 2 mana the Satyr Wayfinder. This is a 1/1 satyr. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into your hand, put the rest into the graveyard. We draw a Return Centaur, Gurmag Angler, Necropolis Fiend, and a Satyr Wayfinder. Unfortunately, these all go into the graveyard. We're going to go to combat, and we're going to swing with the Assistant and the Grave Robber Spider this into the 2 Ecstatic Pipers. These are both going to die, and we'll gain 4 life per player to go up 8 life to go back up to 12. The Necromancer's Assistant will also die here. Over here, we'll spend 2 mana and cast Commune with the Gods again. We reveal a Dark Betrayal, Doomwig Giant, Swamp, Commune with the Gods, and Swamp. We'll take the Doomwig Giant, mill the rest, and then we'll spend 4 more mana and cast Reaper of the Wilds. This is a 4/5 Gorgon. Whenever another creature dies, scry 1, and then for black, it gains Death Touch, and for 1 and green, it gains Hexproof. And then we're going to pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards. We have a Ecstatic Piper, and we have a Dance of Panic. As long as 5 or more Revelers are on the battlefield, all Revelers have haste and attack each turn if able. Will just be attacked by Xenagos, and we're going to chump this time with the Satyr Wayfinder. We will also tap this and cast Annul. It is an instant, counters target artifact or enchantment spell. Will be countering the Dance of Panic. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Power draws a Herald of Torment, and we will discard the Monastery Siege. Prophet will draw a Forest, and we will discard the Nyxweaver. We'll untap. Power draws a Sultai Charm, and Prophet will draw a Forest. We'll play 2 more Forests over here. We'll send the Grave Robber at the Ecstatic Piper and the Reaper of the Wilds against one of the Rollicking Throngs. That'll destroy these 2. We'll gain 4 life to go up to 16. And then we'll cast the Doomwig Giant over here for 5 mana. This is a 4/6 enchantment giant. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, creatures your opponents control get -1/-1 until end of turn. That -1/-1 is that entire stack. Over here, we'll spend 3 mana and cast the Herald of Torment. This is a 3/3 enchantment demon with bestow 3 black and flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has flying. We don't have anything to bestow upon or the mana to cast it, so we'll just stop there. Pass the turn to Xenagos. Xenagos will untap and cast the top 2 cards. The first one is a Rollicking Throng. This is a 1/3 human Reveler. When it enters the battlefield, reveal the top card of Xenagos' library, and Xenagos casts that card. We'll reveal the next one, which is Xenagos' Strike. It deals 4 damage to each player, which means that we're taking 8 damage going down to 8. And finally, we have one more, which is Pharaoh's Band Revelers. This is a 4/4 Centaur Reveler, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player draws a card. That is it for Xenagos. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Power draws a Dead Drop, and we will discard the Sultai Banner. Prophet draws a Swamp, and we'll discard the Swamp. We'll untap. Power draws a Merciless Executioner, and Prophet will draw an Oakhart Dryads. I think if we do this right in the right order, we will have this. So we will cast the Oakhart Dryads for 3 mana over here. This is a 2/3 enchantment nymph dryad with Constellation. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And then we will give the +1/+1 over to the Grave Robber Spiders. Then we will spend 4 more mana over here and then cast the Night Howler. This is a 0/0 enchantment horror with bestow 2 black. It and the enchanted creature gets +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. We will stick this on top of the Grave Robber Spider. This adds +16/+16 to the Grave Robber Spider. And the additional +1/+1 will go to the Reaper of the Wild. I think we just win by attacking. The Grave Robber Spider will go into the Pharaoh's Band Revelers, and the other 3 will hit the other Rollicking Throngs. This will defeat the entire team. We'll draw a card each from the Revelers, getting us a Swamp over here and a Nyx Infusion over here. We'll play the Swamp over here, but most importantly, we'll spend the Forest and the Swamp to cast Naturalize. It's an instant, says destroy target artifact or enchantment. We'll target Xenagos. Xenagos is a 6/5 legendary enchantment god. You can't leave the battlefield as long as the Reveler is on the battlefield, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player wins the game. That's an enchantment, so Xenagos will perish, and then the Fate Reforged Clash Pack will defeat a god. We'll be right back for hard mode. Alright, it's time for hard mode. We have 4 Rollicking Throngs assembled. We'll get started by drawing our opening hands. Power draws a Satyr Wayfinder, Monastery Siege, Typhoid Rats, Murderous Cut, Necromancer's Assistant, Evolving Wild, Island, and Tigan Scheming. I don't love this hand, but I think the Evolving Wilds will get us to the Satyr Wayfinder that we need, so we'll keep it. Prophet draws a Leaf Crown Dryad, Oakheart Dryads, Grim Guardian, Nyx Weaver, Swamp, Dark Betrayal, Reaper of the Wild, and Font of Fertility. We cannot keep this hand. We can't cast anything except for Dark Betrayal, which can't even use in this format, so we'll go ahead and mulligan. Now we have a Nemesis of Mortals, Defend the Hearth, Nyx Weaver, Commune with the Gods, Forest, Swamp, Oakheart Dryads, and Forest. I think this is a keepable hand, so we will do so. We'll go ahead and get started by drawing our opening card. We have a Sultai Soothsayer with Power, and Prophet gets a Jungle Hollow. Power will play their only 2 lands, which includes an Evolving Wilds. This is a land, you can tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for a basic land card, and put it onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. We'll go ahead and tap and sacrifice right now to go grab a Forest. Put it on the battlefield tapped, we'll shuffle. Over here we'll play a Forest and the Jungle Hollow. The Jungle Hollow is a land, it enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield you gain 1 life, and you can tap it for black or green. Go up to 21, and then we will pass to Xenagos. Xenagos will cast the top 2 cards. The first one is a Serpent Dancers. And then we have a Ferrospan Revelers. Nothing happens at the end of the turn. We'll use the Harvester. Power draws a Dead Drop, and we will discard the Monastery Siege. Prophet draws a Noble Quarry, and we will discard the Commune with the Gods. We'll untap. Power draws an Island. Prophet draws a Swamp. We'll play a Forest and a Swamp over here. Then we'll tap 2 over here, casting the Satyr Wayfinder. We'll reveal the top 4 cards. We have a Forest, Scuttling Doom Engine, Sultai Scavenger, and an Opulent Palace. We'll take the Palace and put it into our hands, and then dump the rest of these. We'll play the Palace. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for black, green, or blue. It enters the battlefield tapped. We'll play the Island. And then over here, we will tap 3 mana, cast the Oakheart Dryads. We will pass to Xenagos. We'll cast the top 2 cards. The first one is Xenagos' Strike. We take 8 damage, going down to 13. Then we have Impulsive Charge. Everything comes in on the attack. We'll block 1 of the Rollicking Throngs and take 9 to go to 4. And then they'll lose 1 Rollicking Throngs because of the double block here. We'll assign the damage to save both of our creatures. And then at the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Power draws a Sultai Soothsayer, and we will discard the Tigan Scheming. Prophet will draw a Forest, and we will discard the Noble Quarry. We'll untap. Power draws a Swamp. Prophet draws a Forest. We'll play a Swamp and a Forest over here. We'll play the Swamp over here. We'll tap 4 mana over here and exile 6 cards over here to cast Dead Drop. This is a sorcery. It has Delve. Target player sacrifices 2 creatures. We're going to force them to sacrifice these 2 creatures. We'll get 2 cards apiece. Power draws an Opulent Palace and a Sultai Scavenger. We'll play the Opulent Palace. And Prophet will draw a Vine Whift and a Grim Guardian. We'll tap everything over here to cast the Grim Guardian. This is a 1/4 enchantment zombie with Constellation. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. We'll redirect that to reducing the 1 of the Rollicking Throngs to 2. That'll power up the Oakheart Dryad to a 3, and then we will also cast the Nyx Weaver. It's a 2/3 enchantment spider with reach. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. 1 black green, exile Nyx Weaver, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. We will trigger that and give the Satyr Wayfinder a +1/+1, making it 2. This will let it kill 1 of the Rollicking Throngs, and the Oakheart Dryad kill another Rollicking Throng. And then we'll pass the turn to Xenagos, who will untap and then cast the top 2 cards. The first one is an Impulsive Charge, The second one is a ecstatic piper. These three will come attacking, and we will chomp Xenagos with the Grim Guardian, and we will block the ecstatic piper with the Nyx Weaver. So Grim Guardian dies. The Nyx Weaver kills the ecstatic piper. We'll take 1 but gain 4, and so we will go up to 7. Then as Xenagos' turn, we'll use the Harvester at the end of the turn. Power draws a Dismal Backwater, and we will discard the Sultai Scavenger. Prophet will draw a Reviving Melody, and we will discard the Vine Weft. We'll untap. Power draws a Merciless Executioner, and Prophet draws a Swamp. Play the Swamp and the Forest over here. We'll play the Dismal Backwater over here. We'll go up to 8. I think we can win this now, though. All we have to do is attack this Rollicking Throng. We'll just use both of these, killing this Rollicking Throng. And then we can spend 5 mana and cast Murderous Cut, targeting Xenagos. And Xenagos will be defeated, and the Fate Reforged Clash pack will defeat a god in straight sets. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This is Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.